Shalom, people. Brother Laos coming at you with another video from 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, verse 2. In it, Paul states to the assembly at Corinth that because of the sexual immorality that is going on in the assembly, that instead of them being puffed up about the grace of God, that they were rather flaunting in that they allowed this sexual immorality to continue into their congregation. He said that they should rather mourn. And as I look at the condition of us as black people, not only here in America, but throughout the world, I would say that that is something that could be echoed about us, that as we see these judgments fall upon the nations that enslaved us, the nations that did terrible things to our people, and rightfully so, judgment falling. But yet, instead of rejoicing, we need to look at our situation. We need to look at the reason why the Most High put us into this captivity all over the world, and see, are we any different than when He thrust us out of the land? And if we are honest with ourselves, we will have to say that if it had not been for the grace of the Most High Yah, even yet now we're in bad shape. And that instead of us being puffed up about the Most High judging the Gentiles for our own life, individually and collectively, we should rather mourn. We should be in mourning for the continued domestic violence in our communities. We should be in mourning for this thing of black men and black women hating each other. We should be in mourning for the divorce court still getting a lot of money from our people. We should be in mourning for continual abortions. We should be in mourning for us spending millions and millions of dollars every week gambling, going to play the lottery, going to the internet cafes to play the slots. We should be in mourning for the young youth of our communities turning to the sodomite lifestyle by the droves. And even now in our churches and in our assemblies, that there are people that are openly and some covertly that are in the sodomite lifestyle. We should be mourning for that. We should be mourning for the fact that we are a people that is a matriarchal society where the women lead out, and the women are the most educated, and the women are leading most of the families. We should be mourning over that. We should be mourning over the fact that our people are involved in so many different religions, but yet don't have a relationship with the Most High through His Son, Yeshua. We should rather be mourning. We should be mourning that we have such low expectations for our children coming out of whatever kind of school it may be, whether it's home school, public school, private school. There is low expectation except to go to the NBA or the NFL or the Major League Baseball or track and field. We should be mourning rather that our children don't have no interest in STEM subjects, that they're rather more interested in and don't understand what I'm saying. If you are a person with a reasonable amount of understanding of basic principles of reading, writing, and arithmetic, I'm not saying that you have to go to college, but our people are avoiding that, and they look upon any of our youth that want to excel in academics. They look at you as being a nerd or being a geek or someone. They look at you as being somebody that is an oddball, and that's not good. We should be rather in mourning that we have countries in Africa that are led from top to bottom by black people, but yet the people are living in poverty, and yet there is this unity and division. We should rather be mourning. We should be rather mourning that we still have human trafficking and prostitution going rampant, and even kidnapping of some of our young women in our communities worldwide. We should be rather mourning and not throwing up, giving each other high fives. We should be rather mourning that when it comes to the going to different vacation spots around the world, that you're gonna find that most of the people that are vacationing are other races, and that most of the people that are working in the industry to serve those tourists are our people. We should be rather mourning. We should be rather mourning that once we have opportunity to this great archives of information to find out different things about who we are and some of our history and different things, that most of the views that our people give and thumbs up that our people give on the internet is to world star hip-hop, watching people do the knockout game and dancing and shucking and jiving. We should rather mourn. We should rather mourn that our men of the cloth, if you want to use that term, are not looked upon as men of high esteem in the community because of them robbing the people blind, fleecing the sheep, being wolves in sheep clothing. We should be rather mourning that we find that some of them that will even go beyond that and will take advantage of young boys and young girls that might not have a mother or a father to look up to, and they look up to these men or women of the cloth, and they are taken advantage of, and therefore the priest is for hire in our communities, and no one has respect. We should rather mourn. We should rather mourn that most of us, when we die, don't have an insurance policy, but instead when somebody dies, somebody goes and sets up a GoFundMe to be able to bury that person. We should rather mourn. We should rather mourn that most of us that have any kind of public assistance, we long ago wore out the purpose of what the public assistance was for, which was supposed to be temporary, and we have turned it into a lifestyle. We should rather mourn about that. We should rather mourn that we don't seem to see what the priorities in our life should be when it comes to whether we should set some money aside to from the time that our children are born to help them to be able to go to college, just a little bit every payday, but yet we would take the little bit we say that we have, and rather we would spend it on beer and cigarettes and marijuana and stuff that is going up in smoke and down our gut and then down into the toilet. We should rather mourn. We should rather mourn when we see that a lot of our youth are going around and thinking that smoking marijuana is actually going to increase their IQ and get them in contact with the Most High Yah, saying that because it's natural that it's nothing wrong with it, and are doped out of their mind, and not to even mention the fact that even though other races don't get caught up in the legal web of using it or selling it, Most High Yah is trying to show us that it's not so. Our people are still going to jail over these things, and they're not smart enough to see that they don't need to be messing with it. We should rather mourn. We should rather mourn that most of the pro teams, NBA, NFL, are our people, but the majority of the coaches and general managers and owners are of the same people that enslaved and kept our people on plantations, and that the vetting process to get you on that team, you had to go through the combine. And if you look at the combine basically does the same thing when they had the slave auctions, where they make you strip down to your underwear, weigh you out, see how you can jump, see how fast you can run. And that most of our people that even get these multi-million-dollar contracts after numerous years of TBIs from crashing helmets and falling on the playing field, that a lot of them retire or drop out of the NFL, and all those millions and millions of dollars that they made, they don't have anything to show for it. Why? Because they're out there, and in almost every town they'll have a side chicks that they're paying apartments for, or they might have a side chick in the family, and therefore because of this lifestyle they will retire or exit out of the NFL broke. We should rather mourn for that. We should rather mourn that we are going to the polls like nobody's tomorrow to vote on both sides now, because some of us feel that we are beyond the Democrats, and we go vote for the Republicans, and for whatever either party that we do vote for, when we ask for anything, when we raise our hand to be recognized, they still don't recognize us. We should rather mourn. We should rather mourn that we got President Obama into the office, the first black president, and that when he got in office, unlike other peoples of other races, when he was asked by our people to do anything for ourselves, when we asked him, he stated that he can't do it. We should rather mourn. When we had Kamala Harris, who I really can't say if I want to say that she recognized herself as being fully black, but even though that that might not be the case, she did a portion of herself recognize that to try to get our vote. And when they flat out asked her about would she support reparations and would she support other things for us, she flat out said, I'm not going to do anything in particular for black people, but I do something for all people. We should rather mourn for that. We really should. We should rather mourn that they decided to take a lot of our and we know it's just entertainment. It's just entertainment. We know it's all an illusion, but yet some good images were and good stereotypes were generated by certain people in our community in the entertainment world, that they would take them and denigrate them and bring them down to a debased level. People like Bill Cosby, and do these different things to set him to a place that they will let him get to certain height in his stature, and that they would just so disintegrate the image of the Cosby Show, which was, you know, one of the first times that it had a long-running show that had a positive image of us as black people, that they denigrated that so much so that a lot of TV channels won't run it. We should rather mourn about that. We really should. We should rather mourn when we see throughout the land that we were waking up to who we were and trying to piece together that we were more than just slaves when we came here. And as we have been finding bits and pieces of information that shows that some of us, not all of us, that some of us are the people of the book, people that were written about in the Bible, the ancient Hebrews, that when we found that out, that some of us are so invested in this Eurocentric Christianity, which was used to enslave us, was used to fool us, was used to beat us and whip us, and use the Bible as the emphasis for chattel slavery, that some of us would rather hold on to that system and would fight against people that will bring you verified information that we are the people, and fight against it and call us heretics when we wasn't saying, we was denying Yeshua, Jesus Christ, but just like every other race that can trace themselves back to the Vikings and the Celtic warriors and the Romans legions, that they can trace themselves back, and nobody gets mad at them. That our people that were steeped in this Eurocentric Christianity with the fake picture of Yeshua being Caucasian when we know he's not, even according to the Bible, that they would be our starchest opponents. That even you can read in history books that some of the Caucasians in multiple books would say that we are the people. We should rather mourn about that. We should rather mourn that we look at our economic situation in all the nations that we're in. And although we are the biggest consumers in a lot of the nations where we're at, yet we don't yield any economic power to be able to help the poorest amongst us. We should rather mourn. It's only through us crying out, when Book of Chronicles say, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins and heal their land. We should rather mourn. We should rather mourn. Most High, his Bible said that in Egypt, the first Egypt, that, excuse me, sorry about that, that the night that the death angel went throughout the land, he said that it was a cry heard out throughout all Egypt, and the people were set free. The Most High is looking for a cry to go up from us, a cry of mourning over our sin. It says that in the future, somewhere, I don't know where, it could be in the land, it could be in the wilderness, that we are going to get together and mourn over the betrayal of our Messiah. We're going to do that. But we need to cry out now as individuals and as a people, mourn over our sin as we see the judgment of the Most High come down on the earth. And with that, I'm going to say, you see this video, I want you to give it a thumbs up. I want you to leave a comment. I want you to subscribe. And I want you to look at your sins. And if you know you're doing stuff that you should not, and then you see all those around you doing stuff that they should not, that we should cry out and mourn and ask the Most High to have mercy on us and to come save us. Be blessed.